Hello there, and welcome, fine friends of factories. And this is going to be episode 9 of my Exotic Industries playthrough. So, today we are going to have our head deep in oil business. So, here's what I'm working on currently. This is the tripled setup that I had before. We have a ton of distillation towers processing all these different stages of oil. And last time I was just burning away the kerosene stage, and today we're not going to do that. The goal for today's episode will be to manufacture some sulfur. That's one thing we want to have for sure. But the other thing that I want to do is I want to utilize that kerosene a little bit more thoroughly because, it is about time that we're getting ourselves that diesel fuel together that our locomotives will need. So that's not going to happen without kerosene. So, well, it's been a pretty painstaking process to get all these things together, and I am more than glad that this will be actually the very last time before I do this with robots furthermore, and this'll speed up things a little bit. So, I have to pick up more resources because I ran out of chemical plants and well, I ran out of heaters. So it's a pretty good opportunity to grab my car and show you what I've been working on between the episodes because it's been quite a lot. And it was quite the break between the last episode and this one. And this episode has been expedited by a generous donation from a unknown gentleman, so I appreciate that. But jokes aside, yeah, I had a lot of things on my plate lately, and damn, we can't drive this way. So we're going to drive towards the mall that I set up mostly so far. I've been building a lot of doodads for this setup. So among these, here's one of them that I'm really proud of. I have started to process my slag into concrete. So before we had slag only processed into landfill, I found that pretty boring. So I set up some electric stone quarries and put up some sand and some brick. We're by now using electric furnaces and electric crushers, so no more burning stuff. And here the slag is processed into concrete. This is pretty cool because that means that my whole smelting business is providing concrete for the factory. Currently, we're needing that for several building projects. We're by far not producing enough concrete to satisfy the needs of the factory, but it's a good start and brings me over the mall phase. Speaking about the mall, let's check it out. So, I have all the pots fabricated here. I think I had that illustrated the last time already. Here's the steel. I think I had that not on the record, but whatever. So down here is where the actual party is going on. We're utilizing fine bricks here. So I got my stuff here together. Currently grabbing some pipe, and let's grab ourselves some chemical plants because we're going to need them. This place is by far is far from being done, so there's still a lot of things that I am currently still working on, but I'm quite happy. I mean, I got even stuff like crystal growers and casters already provided, and most importantly, we got electric furnaces, so our next smelter stacks will be something else comparatively. So this place isn't done yet, mostly because I don't have access to advanced circuits yet. Advanced circuits do require sulfuric acid, and that's what we're working on. So I'm going to continue my work on the oil platform up there, because it's not done yet, and I think it's best explained once it's done. I've been merely grabbing some resource to make sure that we can keep working here. So, well, it's time for me to grab me some bricks, get on a meditational spot, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later and explain the oil setup when it's up and running. And then, here's what I cooked up so far. So, I have completed the setup for 15 of these guys, and here we got some heater redistribution because, I figured it worked best when the heaters were attached to the arrays. So we're distributing coal as fuel there, and these guys now, they have their heat providers left and right. So the heat will be spread out thoroughly. This has been quite a problem in the past, so yeah, that's what we got. So what I'm doing here with these things is now the light oil is being transformed back into petrol because we're requiring that for plastic and for sulfur later. The kerosene is being transformed now into diesel and into acidic water, and the heavy oil is being transformed into lubricant, and the lubricant distillate is being transformed into lubricant. So we have with this whole process coke as a side product. We could skip that entire lubricant production and go for the kerosene production like that. Here you use heavy oil and coke and steam to produce even more kerosene and coal gas. So coal gas, you can use that to create plastic. So basically with this recipe, you're taking the output from this chest and from this here and transform them into even more diesel. Maybe we will need that later when we are creating more fuel. I'm not sure about that. So back to the entire thing. So these stages are not really new. This one is the only new really new stage. So that diesel, we're going to transform it into diesel fuel units. So as you see here, we require empty barrels and liquid diesel to transform it into fuel units. So these have a pretty nice fuel value. 20 mj is nothing to sneeze at. And the acidic water, well, it has a lot of uses. It is a very, very versatile fluid. But for starters, here you go. For starters, we're going to go for this very basic recipe of creating sulfur here. Because, you know, we have so many urgent areas where we require it. Later, you use acidic water for the growth of energy crystals. We're not there yet. And I think this is the way more interesting usage. But let's see. Here in this recipe, the acidic water is just a byproduct. It's it's like only 25% of the whole production cycle are acidic water and 75% are diesel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe that stuff downwards to the mall, or well, not quite sure where I will do the fuel factory. But what I do know is that these materials won't be processed here. I'm going to make a few thoughts about that, but before I leave you for my next project, I want to go with you through sulfur. So, for sulfur, first off, we can create explosives out of that. This is just what we require to make cliff explosives in the next step. Cliff explosives, well, here you see, we need lots of other materials here again, but that's one thing. The other thing is sulfuric acid. We require crushed iron for that, so probably I'm actually going to be somewhere else than the mall with that. We need to get that crushed iron somewhere, but that shouldn't be too much of a big deal. And of course, we can create new acidic water with it, and we also require it for the blue science packs, but that's later down the road. Yeah, we're going to use this for several things. Wait a sec. The most important thing, which is not clearly visible here, the acidic water, wasn't it used for drill fluid later? Maybe I'm on the wrong horse here. But all in all, this stuff is it's basically everywhere. Ah, yeah, here. The drill fluid is lubricant, sulfuric acid, and solid fuel. So there is sulfur in it in one way or another. So personal roboport, hooray! We're getting there, friends. We're getting there. So the big goal that we're working ourselves towards to are the advanced circuits, and we're not that far away from it. So I'm going to cook up something, especially looking for the whereabouts of that, because I don't think it's actually that necessary to be down here. But yeah, just wanted to give you a quick update about the oil situation. So what I'm going to add into this will be a couple of tanks and flare stacks, so we can burn off the overproduction. basically every product that this factory does produce, petrol, light oil, and lube, and all these products, they will have an excess valve which just burns it off, so the factory will never truly back up and clog up. But this here is the weak spot of this entire system. The coal coke will ultimately fill this system up, unless I start cycling it up somewhere else. But not for today. Not for today. So, I'll be fixing up these things, and I'll see you at the next stage when we're finally producing sulfur in these things, and when I have finally made up my mind where I'll do this. I really hope that by the end of this episode, we're going to have our first advanced circuits running off the line. That would be great, wouldn't it? And here we are, a few steps closer to the goal. So that's my little something that I made for the diesel fuel. It's embarrassing that this one machine consumes 100 units of diesel, and if we go all the way up here, where I'm actually producing that stuff, I realize that I'm just merely producing 6 diesel per second. But that's okay. We're not up here for for the large numbers. I just found that quite amusing. I strung that stuff up just quite parallel to the lubricant because I found that quite fun. And then I piped it over here to the steel factory because I figured that if we need steel barrels, well, let's just go to the steel factory and craft some. In the time being, I'm going to dump this stuff here all into a chest. I know this is not a permanent solution. Ultimately, we will have to find a different way to store all these things or process them, and as you see here, the stuff doesn't even stack too far. So by the end of the day, I think the solution or the final ending point to this entire thing here will look a little bit something like that. We're going to go for a tank, and we're going to put a valve on top of it. So I should have some in my pocket here. It's the overflow valve is where they flow only when the container connected is at least 80% full. So that means as soon as this container is really full, it's going to release some fluid, and that's going to be released into a incinerator where we will process that stuff away. Because, there is a limit of what we can store there, and ultimately this will be used for vehicles and locomotives mostly. So, yeah, I feel like this is actually the smarter way to do it. So the other thing that we ought to do now is we got to process that acidic water. I mean, we aren't producing a terribly large amount of that stuff currently, but it would be a waste to let it go bad. I mean, I can produce all the sulfur I want now because I got a pretty nice amount of production by now. I mean, it ain't terribly much, but if we look it up here, we produce 225 units of petrol per sec. So we could make some sulfur out of that, but we're going to do both. So here's the procedure. First, we're going to utilize that acidic water to make some sulfur, and then we're probably going to make some more sulfur out of petrol gas. And then that stuff will get transformed back again into, where is it? Sulfuric acid. So we're making sulfur and we're processing it to sulfuric acid. So it's a pretty nasty process, and we require crushed iron. So in a nutshell, I'm going to cook up this thing. Hottest part is to figure out where I get the crushed iron from. But yeah, I'm going to bring it up, and we're going to go through it after it's done. I like this little cuddly thing, though. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that this stuff does stack so horribly, but meh, that's that. Let's talk when the sulfur is done. Alrighty, there we are. I have some progress. So, as you can see here, that's sulfuric acid. So, here's what I did. I went down to my green circuit factory when I realized that the green circuit factory is sitting right next to the iron patch. That's pretty good when we want crushed iron for the sulfuric acid. So, I just yoinked a few of these because, I can. And then we went over to the petrol line, and then I made a little bit of a water here. That's nothing special. And then I just connected these to make the sulfur here on site. So about the acidic water, I have made a decision. I'm I'm buffering it. So usually I'm not buffering things, but as you know, with fluids I'm a little bit more generous. But I figured that this acidic water, you see, energy crystals are only made with either sulfuric acid and sand, so that's how you procure your first one, and then you pour acidic water on top of them to grow new ones. So, in a nutshell, this stuff is so useful later for the energy crystals. And if you're wondering, hey Icon, what are you talking about? Why so much fuzz about energy crystals? Let me show you. Energy crystals are so darned important that I really figured that I would be rather saving up the materials for that, because energy crystals are part of centrifuges. Solar panels. That's robots, power armor, efficiency modules, you know? This stuff is literally everywhere later down the road, so I figured it would be really, really silly to manufacture it into sulfur, you know? That's just what I went up with. So, our next steps are pretty clear. I'm going to cook up a little bit of some stuff here from the Green Circuit factory, because you know the other materials here, insulated wire and electron tubes, if I am not mistaken, let's see, did I output, where did I output? Here's the electron tube, and well, we don't have insulated wire here, but you know, we're sitting here at the copper facility, so I'm going to cook this up and we're going to have red circuits in no time. The good part about it is I'm going to just yoink the necessary green circuits from the facility here. This won't be as efficient, but you know, for the mall, it's not that much about efficiency, in all honesty. We really just want to get the ball rolling because you can't handcraft these guys, so it's just too important, you know? We can't craft so many cool things with the red circuits. Just want to go over a few. I mean, come on, be a little bit more fascinating. So the wafer factory, that's actually something I want to talk about, because the wafers will give me the opportunity to produce circuits so much more effectively, you know? Right now, we're just doing it the wrong way, basically. But yeah, flying robot frames, that's the first thing I want them for, because I really am so tired of building everything manually. We can also go for logistic robots there, but I'm not sure if I really want that currently. Yet. Modular armor, finally get some modules in this stuff. Personal roboport. Basically, the red circuits are the gate into the age of robotics. I am also going to get myself some... Where is it at? Here. Some cliff explosives. I figured that the red explosives are made of sulfur and coal, so we're just going to pipe some petrol down somewhere here into this vicinity, and then we're going to cook up the cliff explosives close to the mall where they actually should be, because that's where I'll be looking for them. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk as soon as the red circuits are done, or, well, whatever fascinating might come my way until then. And just a few turns later, or minutes I should rather say, I am the proud producer of one red circuit per second. So, why is it not working anymore? Where's my plastic gone? Huh, well, there's some flaws in the design, as you can see. Well, we ran out of petrol for some odd reason. I bet there's a good answer to that question, but all in all, we're just doing fine. Oh, I bet there's some backup there. But here's what I did, just before I fly over to fix that. So I just went over to some insulated cable production, goes all the way over to here, and then I yoinked some of the production stuff here, you know, electron tubes and the green circuits. Just pipe them together here, and then the red circuits will flow towards here. So let's check out what's going wrong here again. I bet that I have, again, well, let's see. There's some backup there, and, well, I just think that probably, well, we'll see. I'll get to you guys when I have cooked up the next step in my elaborate plan, and that's going to be cliff explosives. And once these are done, I'm going to run around and laugh maniacally while I'm showing those cliffs who's boss. All right, my dear friends, it's done. We're producing them, cliff explosives. So I did what I had to do. It's not that exactly elegant. So I piped off some steel from there to give myself some barrels. We're producing some sulfur here. We're getting some coal there, and I still had this hand grenade production from when I was doing my first negotiations with the locals, and I put these hand grenades back to some good use. I'm so happy, you know. These little assemblers here, they totally come as a useful thing to me. So we're going to have to wait until the cliff explosives have been made in a satisfying amount, but nevertheless, we've made a lot of progress here today. This is so much. We got access to red circuits now. That means, well, so many things, you know. The very first thing that I want to use it for is going to be the modular armor, and then after that, the power armor. We're going to loot the first of these guys here for our own needs, so. And then, well, there's a lot of things that we can do now and that we should do now. The next steps in regards of progression will be now robotics, you know. I really want those construction robots doing their job for me because I'm so darn tired of just building all those blueprints manually. You know, this has taken up so much time to, you know, for example, this little baby here. That took me so long. But on the other hand, in the future, we're just going to copy paste those blueprints, and there's that. So, yeah, lots of things that we got done here. So, let's see, is there already enough cliff explosive there? I just don't like the position where I'm crafting the cliff explosives at, but on the other hand, I didn't really want to go anywhere else because, you know, I'm just piping that petrol already all over the place. And, you know, I'm okay with that. So, my good friends, I am cutting this episode at this point because I feel like we made all the nice progress that a person could possibly wish for. And we're going to show those cliffs now who's boss. I promised you, and I am a man who keeps his promises. So all in all, we're going to eradicate cliffs wherever we see them now. This is going to be extremely useful, especially alongside this area here. Here with that iron patch, it was so nasty. Take that, cliff. Your reign of terror ends here. And, with that being said, my good friends, next episode we are going to go, well, I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go. I have still a couple of things to fix up, especially the robotics. I don't think that watching me building that stuff will be that exciting though either, because, you know, at this point we will be just putting pieces together, because we don't exactly have to go for much new, for many new things. Here we have now all manner of wonderful things producible. I guess one of the things that we're going to talk about in the next episode will be the production of energy crystals, because, you know, in this area here, no, it's not where. here. So we're currently producing 100 units of sulfuric acid here, but I could easily turn that up to larger numbers. I have everything that I need for that prepared, and yeah, we can totally produce the energy crystals we need for our small scale needs. I know that we're going to need way more of these way down the road. You know, the I don't know, does the regular solar panel need energy crystal? Nah, but we need the semiconductor wafer. So there's a lot of jobs up ahead of us. Deep drilling would be another one of them because, we just have to get ourselves drill fluid together. So yeah, lots of jobs, and I'm looking forward to get every one of them done. But until then, well, it's up to me to say goodbye, and thanks for watching yet again. And thanks to the fine sponsorship here that made the episode possible. And yeah, so feel free to leave me your comments down below. We're going to continue the good work here. And as soon as I have something new to cook up, I'll be recording the next episode. There's a lot of things that I still want to do here. There's a lot of things that I still want to do. But the good news is that like 80% of the expansion work is now done. And that's what I'm really, really happy about. Alright, leave me your thumbs up on that video if you enjoyed, to make it more visible for everybody else. And of course, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. That's one dirty cheap way of supporting the channel, And if you want to be notified, just hit that bell thing, because, subscribing doesn't give you all the notifications. Bell thing does. So, last but not least, there's a playlist link down there in the description box, so if you'd like to see the entire making of this little factory here, check it out. That being said, thanks again for watching, have a great time, and see you all next time in the factory. Goodbye.